Welcome to Elevate Your Ride, the podcast dedicated to elevating your performance in the saddle. I'm Ellie, your personal trainer.
And I'm Lauren, your mindset coach.
Okay, you guys, welcome to our final episode of 2025. This has been such a fun year. Lauren and I have really enjoyed doing this year of podcasting. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Thank you for wanting to elevate your ride and be the best athlete you can for your horse. I'm proud of you for being here. So, this episode combines all of what we think are the best quotes from each episode that we did this year. So we're going to go ahead and get started off with episode 54, which was Lauren's goals for 2025. And we took you through the first episode that we did for a subscriber only series. And that was that we set a goal for Lauren. And every month we were going to be taking you through the step-by-step process of how we were getting her towards that goal. So that first episode was the introduction for that series. And then from there on out, it was all subscriber only. So take a listen.
And I feel that having the goal of the World Show, I mean, it gives you months and lots of shows to be able to build this incredible finished horse by the end of it. And I think that that's so fun. The kind of artist in me really enjoys that part of creating something. And then the ambitious type A person loves having a goal of being able to be rewarded for whatever I happen to create and put out there. So the biggest thing that I learned in that moment was to just be a horseman, ride your horse, ride each stride. And that's what I'm going to really focus on is being able to go to the show and be of sound mind, of good physical fitness. So that way I don't have any excuses as to why I am not being the best horseman for my horse. If I am physically fit and if I am mentally focused, there should be no reason why I can't have a clean run on my horse that day. So a goal should be measurable. That's one thing that we talked about too, because I have a lot of vision, which are not measurable things. So I'm trying really hard this year to have more measurable goals to be able to sit down and say, okay, am I on track? Am I not?
Episode 55 is an incredible conversation with Natalie Hummel. Natalie focuses on how the nervous system impacts not only our daily life, but our athletic performance. An equestrian athlete herself turned high-performance coach, Natalie is a wealth of knowledge to share.
And so what I do is I really help people look at that and say, okay, what are these patterns that are really holding you back? That your ego, your mind is making a lot of meaning and identifying with those patterns, saying these patterns, this way of thinking, feeling, and believing is who and what I am. And really it's no more than a pattern. People, when they come to me, they're really feeling stuck. There's a part of them that thinks, wow, I feel like I'm designed for more. I feel like there's a part of me that is meant to be doing bigger things. There's kind of this instinct that I'm not really actualizing in the way that I'm meant to, but they feel really blocked. These misunderstandings, these limited thoughts you have about yourself, like you're not going to believe them anymore. You're going to be unlimited. But it just happened that, I grew up in the equestrian world. So all my peers and people I had know of were like, hey, can you teach me how to do this? Like, can we work together? So it was just kind of a natural progression. And then the more and more I got into coaching at equestrians, then it kind of grew to all athletes. And I really realized like, wow, this is really helpful for optimizing performance. So that's how it translates all the way to competition. And what we have to do is we have to teach your system that, okay, wait, I can create my own emotional sense of safety. Yes, I'm being judged and I'm okay. Yes, that person doesn't like me and I'm okay. Yes, I'm embarrassed and I'm okay. And when you can create that okayness, you can stay in the top part of your nervous system where performance can live, where optimal performance can live. So it's my belief that I don't want any of you relying on confidence because it's conditional. It's almost out of your control. I want you relying on something that's in your control, which is your emotional safety. So I use the word because people relate to it, but like really let's ditch it. Like let's get something way more unshakable than confidence. Confidence is you have no control over it. It's conditional. It's based off of circumstances and you don't want your performance conditional. You want it unconditional. You want it reliable. And confidence isn't reliable. And we're trying to be perfect all the time, which doesn't work. We actually have to fail to learn. Not hugely, we can micro fail all the time, but that's how we learn.
All right, the next episode we did was episode 56, Life with Meg Depalma Pye. This was such a fun episode. Meg is so fun to chat with. We talked about her history of competing with her mare Marley. We talked about motherhood. Meg was a new mom when we recorded that episode, and how she took her baby to horse shows and how she dealt with the mental and the physical aspects of being a new mom and trying to ride and show horses. That was a really fun amateur interview.
But it takes a lot out of you. I mean, having a baby is no joke, and it definitely took some time just to get back in the swing of things. And then you realize it's so funny. I was talking to one of my other friends, and we were just looking at the different groups of riders in the pen, and you just realize how old you are when you see, a group of amateurs come in, and they're the youth, right? They're like the 19 and 20-year-olds, and they're coming in and they're doing the same pattern as you are, and they're running way faster than you are. And you're like, gosh, that used to be me back in the day. And then you add on top the fact that you just had a baby and you're like, oh, God, I got a lot of work to do. I'll just keep telling myself it's mine to lose. You know what I mean? Like I'll go
Mhm.
in there and be like, I'm the winner today. Like this is my pattern. It's good for my horse. She's on, I'm on, it's mine to lose. And I tell myself that because, I'm the person that I have to beat. And as long as I just keep telling myself that I just need to be better and all the things that Clint and I practiced, I need to be better at my setup. My stop needs to be sharper. My square quarter needs to be tighter. And I just continue to pick at myself and get myself tighter and better, that kind of helps me. There is a fire in me to say, okay, I'm back and I hopefully get to compete in all the shows. I don't have to miss like I did last year from being pregnant and then obviously Marley's colic. So yes, there is a fire, but I also am going to take it with the fact that I need to be considerate of Marley and I need to just be mindful that she did go through this and it's no one's fault. It's just, on the unfortunate way the cookie crumbles. So no one ever plans for something like this to happen, but you just have to take it with what it is. It's no one's fault. It's a freak accident. And yes, unfortunate. Yes, it's a lot of money. And just be glad that your horse is okay. And that's just how I'm looking at it. There'll always be another horse show. And that's what I tell myself. There'll be another world show next year. There's still more globes out there to get, and there's still good runs to have, and I will go for them next year.
Episode 57 is a fun one. We talk about why being a student of the game is such an important mentality for competitive equestrians to adapt. Have a listen here. And so I think that being a student of the game means that not only are you playing to win, but you're playing to learn and to be better. And I think that that's what really keeps your drive alive and going through all of the good times and the bad times. So that's why this episode is going to be so fun, because being a student of the game is something that we should all strive to be able to stay invigorated and passionate. I feel like in every event, I maybe have a major focus that I'm trying to be a student of. So in showmanship, right now, I'm super geeked up about backing figure eights and getting a lot of shoulder control. So that's where like my major focus is. And then my minor in the showmanship would probably be getting my horse really light and feeling like they're right there with me and having that partnership. I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to try and I'm willing to be a quote unquote beginner in certain areas again in order to become a more advanced rider and an expert in certain areas. And it does take time and it takes a lot of humility to say, I am not as knowledgeable as I need to be and I'm not where I want to be, but I'm going to ask the right questions. I'm going to learn from the people that I trust and that I believe in,
and I'm going to use this to better myself.
Okay, the next episode, episode 58, a month out from a big show. So this we put out in the beginning of February, right? Like a month before Sun Circuit. So we talked about how to prep your body mentally and physically before heading out to a big show like Sun Circuit. You want to focus on making those changes as needed a couple months before a show. So if you feel like you need stronger legs or a stronger core, I'm sorry to say it's not going to happen a month before the horse show. If you have been working on building and working towards your goals in the month leading up to the horse show, then the month before you can just kind of focus on coasting, right?
So, a big part for mentally is going to be making sure that you are prepared with packing, prepared with entries, prepared with training. All of these things are going to be very important to lowering your stress load going into the horse show. One of my favorite sayings was always proper preparation prevents poor performance. And I think there's just so much truth in those words. And if we can take that into the show season, especially starting a month out and just checking things off our lists, we're going to be so much happier and so much more confident.
Episode 59 is full of inspiration. We interviewed amateur reiner Kailey King-Hale as she journeyed towards the Run for a Million non-pro competition. She had big plans in 2024, and an unfortunate accident kept her from achieving them. But in this episode, we learn how she is about to tackle 2025 with a vengeance.
This world that we are so wrapped up in, physically, emotionally, financially, it's a made up world. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many titles you or I get. It matters, taking care of your body and putting your priorities first. So I definitely try to make a grateful list and go, wow, the fact that I can actually show this caliber of animal and the fact that we made it here safely and are able to show that, I try to just continue to remind myself that we are really blessed to be here just to compete. And hopefully it goes well. And if it doesn't, then hey, there's always next time. So me being kind of the homegrown kid that has definitely shown nationally, but I have not shown in that type of spotlight where I'm like, oh, these patterns are no joke. Like these girls they don't hold back. Like these are level 4 open horses with non-pro riders on them. And it's just that learning curve going, okay, I need to figure out how to step up my game without blowing the wheels off.
Next episode, episode 60. This was the first installment of the book club Becoming a Supple Leopard series. And if you really want to learn more about your body and how it works and biomechanics, and like if you're somebody who's trying to create your own fitness routine and you want to learn more about what you should be working on and just how your body works, that's a fantastic series. Highly recommend listening to that. So the book that I chose is called Becoming a Supple Leopard, and it is by Dr. Kelly Starrett. And this is just a very, very informational book that has a lot to teach. So if you're a little bit nerdy and want to learn a little bit more specifically about functional fitness and about your body biomechanics, then this is the right series for you. You're at the right place. This book will teach you how to position your body in athletic positions to be able to do whatever it is that you're asking it to do. Whether you're sitting at a computer, whether you're walking your horse, whether you're doing sprints. It doesn't matter what it is. This book is going to teach you how to do all the movements that you want to do safely.
Episode 61 is an introduction to our book club on a book called Relentless. This is one of my favorite books, and I highly recommend going back through not only listening to this episode, but all of the book club series on this topic. It is a great way to reevaluate your mindset and really push yourself to the next level.
So I'm really excited to go chapter by chapter with you, pull out a few different quotes, talk about the different themes,
and see how you can use this not only in the arena with your horse, but use it in your real life to be the best person that you can be in every single endeavor that you face. Every time I get ready for a big competition, I will pull it back up. And I might not go through the entire book, but I'll pick out specific chapters that really resonate with whatever I am going through in that moment. And it really just helps to dial me in and focus on what I need to. I'm going to read that again to you. Being relentless means demanding more of yourself than anyone else could ever demand of you, knowing that every time you stop, you can still do more.
Episode 62, the Run for a Million champion Jason Vanlandingham. You guys, this was such a cool episode. When we reached out to Jason, we did not think that we were going to get a response. He was probably like, who are these girls with their little podcast? But sure, I'll spend, an hour and a half chatting with them. It was so cool. He was such a nice guy. It was such a cool episode. Very, very inspiring. Highly, highly recommend listening to that. He is just such an incredible horseman. You could really tell that he really cares about the horse. And he's just such a family man. Like he was just so cool. I really, really liked talking to Jason.
And if you can show up at a horse show and be able to control your emotions and keep your stress level down, then that's going to transition over to the horse too, to keep their stress level down. They're going to be able to focus and be the best that they can possibly be. And then you're going to start seeing success. If you feel like you're going through a lot of ups and downs, well, join the club. All of us are in this sport. That's what makes it so fun and so challenging. But just keep pushing and keep putting that work in, and the success will show up. The more consistent you become, the more consistent your horses will be, and the more success you'll have in the pen.
Episode 63 is one of my favorite episodes of all time. We spoke with dressage legend Anna Buffini. She is an inspiring individual, both in and out of the arena. Not only do we break down what it takes to be an incredible horsewoman, but we are able to talk about how she has valued her mental aspect and the physical aspects of competing at the highest level. This is one you absolutely will not want to miss.
But you have to have that passion inside of you that helps you walk through the fire, that helps you walk through the tunnel and get to the other end. You can't let rock bottom stop you. You have to use that rock bottom as like firm ground to jump back off and try and keep climbing your way to the top. But you always have to have that foundation of, why do you do this? And I do it because I love it, and I let the love motivate me and keep me going even in the dark days. So in the end, it's like, yes, of course, I want to be successful. I want to go to the Olympics, but that is a higher goal than the Olympics to me. If you can tell the love between my horse and I've done this the correct way with integrity, then that's truly the goal. So if I didn't fail so many times throughout my athletic career, I would not be where I am today, because I have learned so much more from my failures than my successes, and mentally pushing through the failure is truly what's gotten me to where I am today. And mentally pushing through not making the Olympics has made me such a stronger person. How much love you have for this, for the training, for the journey, for the process, is how successful you can be in the end. Because if you just love blue ribbons, if you just love success, if you just love being famous, you will never have that longevity, because loving winning is not enough. Loving the process, loving the horse, loving the journey is what it takes to be the best. And I think the best people love the journey.
Episode 64, is stress bad? This is kind of an interesting topic because I feel like in society we try to avoid as much stress as possible, but not all types of stress are bad. So our bodies physically do need stress put on them. So that's lifting weights, going on walks. Any sort of resistance training creates eustress, which our body really, really needs, especially as we age. And then stress forces us to think outside the box and to do things differently and to attack problems. And it's not all bad. Think about how if you never had any sort of stress in your life, how everything would just be like kind of flatline. Like, you can't have peaks if you don't have valleys. So, kind of an interesting episode. Give it a listen.
Stress is extremely common in today's world, especially for anyone who competes. Whether you're competing at the World Show or at an open show, stress is more than likely going to occur. So, we want to talk about the goods and the bads of stress, because not all stress is inherently bad. So, acute stress can actually enhance your focus and alertness, which is so essential when we're walking into that pen and we're trying to pay attention to what our horse is doing, what the exhibitors around us are doing, how we want to be performing, trying to keep in the back of our mind all of the things that our coaches told us. And so, being acutely stressed, we're going to be more heightened and be able to tap into those different senses.
Every once in a while, you need to ride hard enough that you're sore the next day, right? If you never ride hard enough to the point where you're never sore, you're not pushing yourself as hard as you could. But in the opposite, when you go to ride, and if you're riding so hard that you're so sore the next day that you can't walk, and you're doing that every time you go to ride, then that's not positive either. So a little bit of stress is good. A little bit of that stress is good. Distress is bad. That's what we want to avoid.
Episode 65 brings on World and Congress champion trainer Torey Roderick. Not only is Torey highly decorated in the show pen from the all-around events, but she has recently developed a program called Mental Mastery for equestrians. We had a great conversation with Torey about what inspired her to research more about how mindset impacts us in the show pen, and how she is using this not only to help improve her own riders, but to be able to reach other riders in the community. If you're looking for a way to up your mental edge in the show pen, this episode is one to look at.
If you're trying to have success, let's say at the Congress or the World Show, I talk to my students and I tell them it's really important to visualize your ride, not yourself standing there with the trophy and not yourself having your picture taken. I mean, that's great, but that's like a cherry on top. You need to visualize yourself if you show the trail, doing your +1 walkovers, doing your +1 trot overs and your +1 gait and your very best transitions. If you're worried about missing, you're going to miss because the neural pathways are going to be the same. Your body's going to recreate the same scenario that caused you to miss the first time. You're going to be a little uncertain and you're not going to be real clear to your horse. So you have to believe that you're going to get through there. You have to picture yourself loping and seeing your spot. It's hard to let go of things that have happened, but you just have to kind of store it and move on. And you have to really picture the maneuver before you do it. So you have to keep doing that visualization on a smaller scale and then string it all together for your big event. Picture yourself doing each maneuver excellent, transitioning excellent. And if you devote any bit of mental space to what could happen or what could go wrong, very frequently it happens. I know for myself it happens.
Episode 66, the second installment of the book club, Becoming a Supple Leopard. This episode, we really talk about how your body adapts to training. That was a cool episode. Give it a listen. I want you to take a moment to think about a physical limitation or a compensation that you have in your own body. Do you get tense in your neck? Do you have a tight low back and tight hips from sitting in a chair all day? Are your shoulders rounded forward? Do you have poor posture? Do you have an injury like to your ankle or to your shoulder, right? Like, think about if you were to go to the doctor and the doctor was to ask you, well, what are the things that you struggle with, right? Like, where do you have pain? Where is your body not quite in alignment? Like, what are the things that you struggle with your own body? I want you to think about that for a moment. And then I want you to think about what you struggle with when you go to ride. Once you can have your limitation or your compensation corrected in the gym and in your daily life, right? Because your body's going to do what you tell it to 1,000 times a day. If you tell it what to do 10 times a day in the gym, but then 1,000 times in your daily life a different way, your body's going to listen to the 1,000 times a day, every time, I promise. So that's why you have to correct it both in the gym and in your daily life to be able to see a difference in the saddle.
Episode 67 is yet another book club. This one, we dive into what it takes to become a champion and to compete at the highest level, and how to release the guilt of going full force and all in towards your goals. If you need some inspiration, this episode's for you. A cleaner in the horse world is somebody who shows up when it's 19 degrees outside. They show up when it's 110 degrees outside. They put in the extra mile when it comes to what their trainers want. They don't rely only on the information that is directly in front of them. They will look outside the box and be able to put it together. A cleaner is somebody who, when they step up to that start cone, no matter how nervous they are, they channel that into excitement and focus, and they reach a whole nother level that they didn't even know was within them. You know, being relentless isn't about talent. It's about your mindset and taking action. So this week, go out and take action on something. If you want to get that promotion at work, what steps do you need to take? Go and do it. Be relentless about it. If you want to go and win the horse show that you're going to, how many reps of visualization have you done? Take some action. Make it happen, because you can. Push yourself harder than anyone else ever would.
Episode 68, Ellie's current workout routine. So if you're curious what I do for my workouts as a personal trainer for equestrians, this is the episode that you should listen to. I think that if you're going to develop a workout plan, you need to have a really clear goal in mind of what you're trying to work toward. If your goal is not clear, you're not going to get to where you want to be, because you don't even know where you want to be. So I started off with my fitness a couple years ago, like everybody does, right? Saying, well, I just want to be lean. I want to have abs. I want to have a booty, right? like everybody else. Like, I feel like everybody always starts into fitness for the aesthetics. And then as you get further and further along in your fitness journey, you focus more on the functional side of things and how your body works, not necessarily how it looks. That's the beauty of fitness, right? Is you never get to that point where you're at 100% athleticism or where your body is perfect, right? Like, you're always working towards achieving the highest level of athleticism, the highest level of perfection that you can, but you'll never get there. So just trying to do your best every day to reach your goals. So just trying to find a workout routine that really honestly works for you is the most important thing, because you could develop the perfect workout routine, but if it does not work for you and your schedule and you don't do it, then what's the point? You're not doing it.
Episode 69 is so fun. We dive into Ellie's current workout routine. It is wonderful to hear from the master herself what she is doing to not only raise her level as a rider, but to adapt and change her skill sets to be able to accommodate some injuries, which is something that all of us can relate to.
I spend a lot of time warming up, activating the muscles that need to be activating, kind of turning off and stretching out those areas that are kind of tight, the areas that I need to be loose. So I focus a lot of time on my warm up. I don't just get to the gym and immediately pull out those weights. I make sure that my body is properly warmed up. My mind is ready to go. But I'd rather have a really strong warm up and a little bit shorter workout than a really short warm up and a longer workout. It's just not going to pay off in the long term. And that is hard. Let me tell you, to do single leg squats after a set of split squats. If you've ever done split squats before, you probably just went, ooh, that sounds hard. It is hard, but it's really good for my stability, my strength, my endurance of my legs. So I do it. And I only do one set on each side, because 2 sets I think would kill me. It's a minute of high plank, and then I rest. And then I do 30 seconds elbow plank, then I rest. Then I do 30 seconds side plank, then I rest. Then I do the other side plank, then I rest. And then I do 30 seconds high plank, then I rest. And then I would do a minute of elbow plank. And I'll usually make those planks a little bit challenging on myself by adding in a booty band or putting my feet on a balance pad, or I'll add some movement into my planks. Like, I usually do challenge myself in another way. I just kind of leave that up to me and how I'm feeling that day. Episode 70, The Fighter, Kristin, Darnall, Titov. This was a really, really heartfelt episode, and I'm really thankful that Kristin came on and was really open and honest with us about her journey. Kristin is a cancer survivor, and we talked fairly heavily about how that impacted her as a horsewoman and as a showman. And it was just a really, really feel good type episode. So if you're kind of in a spot in life where you maybe have something physically challenging going on and you're not sure how that's gonna make horses look different for you, I would give that one a listen. Kristin was really, really wonderful to talk to. She had lots of really inspiring, motivating things for people who maybe are in that position.
But there's this adage in the reining to ride one box at a time, meaning the judge is scoring one box at a time. So you ride that box. You be in the full moment, present in that box. Don't worry about the last one. Don't worry about the next one. You're in this maneuver. And so I just decided to put that mental thought process into my head as the cancer treatment was like, I'm just going to deal with this treatment. I'm just going to deal with this symptom. I'm just going to deal with this thing. And I'm not going to get too far ahead. Failure's fine. Failure's fine. Don't be upset about failing. Just fail small, learn big, move forward.
Episode 71 is where we address our listener questions. We dive into topics such as, my horse was recently injured. How do I create other goals during his recovery to help me stay highly motivated? And can I get in and out of horses? These questions and a few more we dive into depth on, and it is a very, very fun episode that I feel like all of us can relate to.
We're going to move on to our next listener question. Horses are our whole identity. When you hang up your spurs, how do you navigate what's next? Oh, this is a tough question.
It really is, right? Because there's so many elements to this. And sometimes it's our choice to hang up our spurs, and sometimes it's not.
It is so easy to let your entire life be consumed by horses. And I think that if you let your entire life get consumed by horses, then it's so much harder to find your purpose when you have to hang up the spurs or when the spurs get hung up for you.
I just want to be so obsessed with this crazy thing called horse showing and learning all that I possibly can about bringing my young ones along, right? It's something I have to constantly tell myself. It's okay to be obsessed, but don't let it be your whole identity.
Your workout routine is not there to keep you entertained. It is there because it is a necessity for daily life and a necessity to be a competitor. And I think that if you look at your workout routine that way and have more of a respect for what it's doing for you, then you don't need your workouts to be entertaining for you. You can create the perfect workout plan, but if it doesn't work for you and you're not going to do it, then it's not the perfect workout plan because you're not doing it. And if you're not doing it, doesn't matter what it says on paper. The paper is not going to be what gets you the results. It's the work that you put in that's going to get you the results. Episode 72, another book club about becoming a supple leopard. This episode highlights the importance of listening to pain. Our bodies were designed to last over 115 years. So why do so many people struggle with pain at such a young age? Why is it so prevalent in our lives? Pain is not normal. It might be common, but it is not normal. I want you to move as pain-free throughout your daily life as possible. That's why I'm doing this whole series on becoming a supple leopard. I want you to understand functional fitness and why it's so important to work on injury prevention. It's so important. It is essential to being an athlete. It is essential to being a parent. It's essential to living life. When you have pain, it's not easy to live because it's all that you think about. And it's hard to be present in life's moments when you're focused on pain. We don't want pain. We're talking about optimizing your training here. We're not talking about the bare minimum. We're talking here, this podcast, this book is about elevating your ride, optimizing your performance. That's why you're here. That's why you've been listening to me talk about this for the last 30 minutes. You're here to get better. So if you want to get better, you have to constantly challenge your mind, your body. Otherwise, you're going to be complacent. And horse people are not complacent people. We're not built that way. We're built to achieve things and achieve bigger goals than we ever could have imagined. That's why we're here.
Episode 73 is our third installment of Relentless. I absolutely love the topics that we can cover in this book. This episode allows us to find comfort in high-pressure situations and push ourselves past our mental boundaries.
What I love about this book is while I use it to make me a better showman and a better horseback rider, it can be taken into any area of your life and help you move to the next level and be everything that you have ever dreamed of. It helps you to know what areas of your life are worth focusing in on and really going after, and which ones maybe, don't need quite as much energy devoted to them. So if pressure is being put on you, that is a privilege because it means you are capable of more than you believe that you are.
Episode 74, integrating mindset and fitness into your daily life as a busy equestrian. This, I think, is such an important episode. I mean, I think all of our episodes are important, but this one in particular, because as equestrians, we are so busy. We're so busy with our work, trying to afford this crazy hobby lifestyle that we have. We're so busy with our families. We're so busy with our horses. And we also need some downtime. Let's be real. So this episode is about how do we integrate mindset and fitness practices into our busy, busy, busy daily lives. So how to break it into pieces, how to fit it in, how to squeeze it in where you can, how to look at your day and find little nooks and crannies of time. This is a really, really good episode if you're really busy, especially if you're a parent. Really, to improve your fitness or your mindset, it's about being consistent and putting in the work as often as you can, not for how long of periods you can do it for.
So mindfulness a lot of times isn't so much about only being able to be exactly where you want to be in that moment. It's about knowing when your brain starts veering off course and then bringing it back. So veer off course, bring it back. Veer off course, bring it back. Because we can't expect perfection from ourselves, just like we can't expect perfection from our horses. So when we go into that pen, if we feel ourselves start to get anxious, we need to be able to rein that in as quickly as possible. It's not preventing that anxiety. It's about reining it in and refocusing that energy whenever you feel it starting to creep in.
And that's another way that you can integrate your fitness into your daily life. Try to add it into something that you're already doing that day. If you're going to sit and watch TV for 30, 40, 60 minutes, sit on your foam roller or sit on your yoga mat. Yeah. Or do you have a treadmill in your house? Can you do it on your treadmill? Do you have a treadmill at the gym? Can you watch your TV while you're on the treadmill at the gym?
In episode 75, we interview one of my favorite people, Carey Nowacek. She is a decorated competitor, and she has been able to bring along countless young horses and develop them into champions, not only for herself, but for others. And I just love the way that she shares her mindset and her goals and just a pure kind of joy and passion for this industry.
This class and what we do is not about who has the best outfit, who can spend the most on this pretty outfit. It's horsemanship for a reason. It's about how you can ride and be connected with your horse and ride every step, and to inspire younger girls that maybe don't have the money to be able to go buy a nice outfit, and just knowing that, okay, as long as you have something that fits, it's about you. We like to win. I like to win. And I hate to lose. And don't get me wrong, I lose a lot. Way more than I win, way more than I get my name called, I lose. but that's why I do this. It would not be fun if I just won. It wouldn't be fun to go in and win all the time. How boring, right? You kind of have to lose to know that there is something higher than that. There's something to look forward to. It's never going to be perfect. So it's how am I going to ride through even though it isn't perfect? How am I going to pretend to the judges that this is perfect? So going through that pattern in my head through my own eyes it's kind of teaching myself how to fake it.
Episode 76, Why What You Wear Matters with Whitney Lloyd. This cool episode. So we had Whitney on the podcast in 2024, so like a year and a half ago. And we just talked about her life as a busy equestrian and how she does it all and how she changed partners with horses and everything. And it just was a great episode. And so when Whitney started Mark West Denim, I thought that what a great opportunity to bring Whitney back on to talk about your appearance and how that impacts your confidence and why the clothing that you're wearing matters for your physical performance as well, not just your mental performance. So that was a really fun episode, and it was great to talk to Whitney again.
So much of what we do requires a lot of courage, right? You're putting yourself out there with this 1,500-pound animal that you're going to go into the arena, on your own to execute this horsemanship pattern or the Western riding or the trail or the ranch classes, whatever it is you show. And that requires a lot of courage to put yourself out there like that. And most people would never, ever put themselves on the line to be judged like that, but we do. And in order to do that, like you need support. You need to feel like the absolute best version of yourself to go out there and really just lay down the type of performance you need to put in to get the big wins that we're all searching for. It's really hard to do that if your clothes don't fit right, if they're distracting you, if you don't feel confident in what you're wearing. So I wanted to create these jeans to solve all these problems that we have, so that when you wear them and you go ride your horse, you're not thinking about your jeans. You're not thinking about how you look. You know you look great. You know the jeans fit you and flatter you, and you can go focus on your horse and your ride because that's the most important thing for all of us.
Episode 77, we interviewed amateur exhibitor Elizabeth Paul, who had a tragic fall and was told that she may never walk, let alone ride again. We were able to listen to her journey of how she overcame that diagnosis and went on to become a Level 1 reserve champion in the select showmanship at this year's Level 1 championships.
Did your injury affect your mental game? Or do you think that the whole process of overcoming this injury and being able to walk has made you mentally stronger as a showman?
I think a couple of things. I think it has made me mentally stronger, but I also think I had to come to terms with I'm competing against myself. I'm not going out there to win. I love to win. That drive is never going to go away. But I've had to really talk myself through that's not the end all be all. I'm out here to have fun and I'm out here to do my best. But I don't move like everyone else does anymore. And that's okay.
That's why I wanted to have you on is, sometimes people have an injury or they have something tragic happen to them that's, maybe something that's not an injury, like a major life event. And, in the moment, it can feel like that's the end and you'll never get to do what you love again. And that's just not true. It might look different. But there's things that you can do to get back to doing what you love if you're crafty enough and if you work hard enough.
Absolutely. Go chase your dreams. If you don't go chase them, you're going to lose. If you do go chase them, it doesn't matter what you do, you're still going to be better off. So I would encourage everyone, just get out there and try. And remember, you're there to have fun.
Episode 78, the part 4 of Becoming a Supple Leopard. This episode talked about the importance of treating exercise and gym as a diagnostic tool for injuries and compensations. So I find that as a personal trainer that a lot of the things that I struggle with in my clients, they follow us in our daily lives, in the gym, in the saddle. Like our issues are our issues no matter where we are. And this episode just talks more about why working out can be a really helpful tool for correcting some of those compensations so we live more pain free and more efficient. If you go to the gym and you only ever do the same exercises and you never challenge yourself by adding more weight, adding more reps, adding more sets, using a resistance band, like if you're not changing little things constantly, like I'd say every 2 to 4 weeks, you want to start to kind of play around with those little modalities, then your body is not going to continue to progress. If you want to get stronger and if you want to get better at riding horses, you need to go to the gym and you need to take care of your body. It's that simple. It's that simple. Come on, just do it. It's not that hard. I know it's hard. I know it's a lot. I know. But you can do it. I promise. Just create a goal. Get consistent with it. Once you're consistent with it, then you can start to build.
Episode 79 is our 4th round of book club for Relentless. In this episode, I give a lot of horse-related examples on how to take these mindsets and put them into our practical application. This episode, we go over making decisions, being addicted to the results, and also the concept of being feared over being liked. That one's kind of an interesting one, and if you're curious about it, take a listen. But that discipline and that dedication and that consistency, that will win out over any amount of passion. Because no matter how much you want to wish and will and love your way to something, it's that hard day in, day out work that is actually going to make it happen. But how do we get the confidence in ourselves? Like, do we just fake it? Maybe a little bit. But honestly, it comes from a lot of little reps that lead to that bigger trust in yourself. Start by making small decisions and proving to yourself that I can make a good choice. What is your dream right now? What is your goal? And is that goal exciting enough for you that you're willing to go through the hard times, that you're willing to show up even when you're tired, that you're willing to be excited about when is the same thing for a week straight, a month straight? You know, really look at that goal that you are driving towards and write it down, put it up somewhere, and let it inspire you every day.
Episode 80, APHA World Show interview with Alexis Daugird. This was a cool episode. I was sad that I couldn't be there for it. Lauren did this in person at the World Show with Alexis, and I wish that I could have been there because she seemed like so much fun and so cool to talk to.
I think that the big lesson is when things go wrong, the biggest thing I can say is it's not that deep.
Yeah.
You know, this is important and it should be taken very seriously, but it's not worth killing yourself over. If you can find that horse for you or you have that horse that you know is going to work for you, that's the one you need to do it with.
Yeah.
When I bought her, people were like, "What did you buy?" And I'm like, "No, trust me, this horse, it's going to do it."
Yeah.
But so many people had no idea what I saw in this Palomino reining horse.
Yeah.
But I was so insistent. I really think that if you have that with a horse, you can do so much.
Yeah.
You don't need the 6-figure, big-time horse to go and be successful.
Episode 81 is a pretty cool episode about tips for attending your first World Show. I was able to go to the APHA World Show for the first time this year. And while I have been to the NSBA and the AQHA World Shows, I had never been to the APHA World Show. So in a way, I actually felt like a first-time exhibitor. It was able to open my eyes to some things that maybe I wish I would have known going into it, and I share these things with you.
It's been really kind of eye-opening for me going to a new facility surrounded by new people and being at a world championship level stage as basically a first timer. And I really thought that since I have competed at that level numerous times before, and I never really think twice about what different processes there are at the AQHA or NSBA World Show. But once I've stepped into the ring here, I'm like, wow, this is a completely different experience. Really dial in your visualization of how you want that to go and what you see it looking like. Because once you get to the show, you are showing off everything that you have done to prepare. You're not going to be training your horse here. You're not going to be changing your horse here. You're not going to be changing yourself here. So visualize the best that you can do today. So that way, when you step into the arena, you can get all that you can give today.
Episode 82, how to improve your relationship with exercise. I'm going to say it again. This is a really important episode. If you find yourself saying, oh, like, I just don't like exercise. I don't like my routine. I don't enjoy it. I'm not having fun. And that's the reason why you're not exercising. You need to focus less on exercising and more on developing a relationship with exercise, a healthy relationship. It's really, really important that you build a routine that you're going to stick to. It matters so much less about what that routine actually is. It matters way more about if you're actually going to do it and if you're actually going to enjoy it. Because if you're doing a routine that you don't enjoy, you're not going to be set up for success and you're not going to get the full benefits out of that routine in the first place. So then you're just going to be really frustrated because you're not enjoying it and you're not seeing results out of it. And it's just a really bad spiral to go down. So if you struggle with that, keep on listening. A lot of people just kind of have not a great relationship with their body, with their workouts, with exercise in general. And I think that that's really sad. Like, working out should be a way to express yourself, express your body, work towards goals. Like, it's something that's really positive. And I always find it really sad when people don't have a great relationship with exercise. Let's say your goal was to work out 5 days a week and you did that. And then the next week, something crazy happened at work. You had to work overtime. You were just exhausted and you could only get your workout in twice that week. Instead of saying, wow, I didn't hit my goal. I'm a horrible human. I don't even think I should continue on with this journey. Say, you know what? I'm proud of myself for getting it in twice this week. There was a lot of stuff going on. It was not a normal week. I'm going to let that be what it was. And then this next week, I'm going to go back to trying to be as normal as I can, trying to get back onto my routine. You really want to avoid throwing in the towel and giving up on your routine. You might need to alter it sometimes, but you don't want to give up on it entirely.
Episode 83 is with another mental health practitioner. This time we spoke with Sarah Louise Lilley. She is a emotional freedom technique therapist who specializes in helping equestrians overcome fear and trauma. One of the things that she dives into and uses in her practice is called tapping. And I actually went on to go and take several sessions with her. And I can tell you, this actually works.
So typically riders come to me either having had a really scary fall or had some sort of trauma around a horse. It could be they've been bitten or kicked. Occasionally it's someone seeing a really horrific thing happen and it's just secondary trauma, right? But it kind of gets in their nervous system. And so what I do is help them rewire around those past events so they can show up in their present, feeling calm, feeling good, feeling empowered. But while I was riding, I had this low-level anxiety now that I couldn't get rid of. And it was really just like stealing the joy from my riding. Like, it was so frustrating. And I couldn't figure out what's going on. And I was like using all my tools and I was getting advice and like nothing was working. And it wasn't until I used EFT that I figured out what was happening and what was being triggered. And I resolved that. And then suddenly I was showing up in my riding almost overnight. I'll use myself as an example. I had like a funky ride a few weeks ago and I was in the car coming home and I tapped and I felt so much better. I thought, oh, Sarah from before tapping, this would have been a whole different experience, right? I would have been in the car being like, oh, God, it was such a bad ride. What is wrong with me? That distance was such a mess. And this is happening. And so much better rider than me. And oh my God, it's just awful. And spiraling, right?
But what I did instead of that moment is like, okay, where is that upset in my body? I'm just so disappointed. Okay, where is that live in my body? I just feel this little kind of like feeling. And I just tapped on it for like a minute on the ride home. And after that, it's like, oh yeah, I don't have to get in my head. I don't have to make meaning out of it. I'm just disappointed. It's okay to be disappointed. It was a disappointing ride. I love rides that feel easy and flow-like, and that was disappointing because it didn't feel like that. And that's okay.
Okay, episode 85, another book club episode about becoming a supple leopard. So this episode was really cool. It was all about proper spinal mechanics and why they're so important for you as an equestrian. So if you're tired of hearing your trainer yell at you about your poor positioning and poor control of your body, maybe you should go back and listen to that episode. Listen to the snippets, then maybe give it a try. If you struggle with your posture, keeping your spine organized, back pain, feeling like you're ineffective with your core muscles, and you just don't know how to organize your body in a strong, athletic, comfortable position, then this is the perfect episode for you to listen to. A really strong horsemanship rider is not static. They're really dynamic. They're able to move their body in a way that communicates with the horse while also keeping strong and stable. They don't get pulled out of position. They're able to move their body around and go right back to where they need to be in their own body, right? They have a good, strong base of support that they can leave but come back to really easily and naturally.
Episode 85 is our fifth and final round of book club for the book Relentless. If you are looking for a little pick-me-up to get you off the couch, this one is it. I am challenging every single one of you to pick one spot in your life that you want to be relentless in. You want to go 100% wholehearted, full bore into being excellent at. There is something that just feels so incredible inside of you when you know you gave your all at something. A cleaner is that person who can step into the arena, have a terrible warm-up, yet go out there, fall right into their flow state, and come out a world champion. A cleaner is what we all strive to be. You don't recognize failure. You know there's more than one way to get what you want. And the final, section 1, is you don't celebrate your achievements because you always want more. Don't those sound kind of exciting? I can't wait to dive into these with you guys. I know that when I was putting this together and I was writing down the different quotes, like, these resonate with me so much. And I think that they pushed me to be the cleaner that I am in the arena as well. And so I really hope that you guys walk away inspired after listening to these.
Episode 86, a conversation with collegiate equestrian coach Bobbie Piddock. This was such a fun conversation. I love when we get trainers on. Bobbie used to coach collegiate equestrian teams, and she has such great insight on biomechanics and positioning. And this episode was just full of a ton of little golden nuggets of advice from Bobbie.
The reason you're not sitting correctly is because you have a lack of connection with your horse. Like, let's focus on the connection through your leg and seat, and that's going to fix your body position by nature. And I always resort back to the fundamentals of the definition of horsemanship in the QH rulebook, which, how I broke it down for the girls, is horsemanship is designed to evaluate their rider's ability to execute in concert with their horse a set of maneuvers prescribed with precision and smoothness while exhibiting poise and confidence and maintaining a balanced, functional, and fundamentally correct position. After my student athletes have an understanding of how to ride a horse is when I then focus on the position. Right, for me, 90% of being a world champion in horsemanship, in my opinion, is knowing how to ride your horse. The final 10% is icing on the cake, the body position things, right? And so once I understand that you understand the expectation of being a good horse rider with your leg, with your seat, with your core, all those things, right? Then we can go to the body position things.
In episode 87, we sit down with Cortney Kangas, who is about to participate in the Mongol Derby. The Mongol Derby is one of the toughest rides and competitions that you can compete in.
They call it the longest, toughest horse race in the world. And it takes place over the course of 8 to 10 days. You cover 28 different horse stations. So you'll eventually end up riding about 28 different Mongolian horses. And it's set up to recreate Genghis Khan's messenger system that he had to get messages across his vast empire. And the way the race is set up is we'll get over there and basically we navigate ourselves. Nothing is marked. We'll just have a GPS and a satellite beacon on us. And so we have to navigate ourselves from horse station to horse station. To me, discipline is just whether or not you want to do something, it's just putting forth those regular small efforts. And it doesn't even have to be the big effort. And that's what I find is, if you go full force at something and immediately wear yourself out, burn yourself out, that's not sustainable. So honestly, the best thing to do is just, even if it's a small effort daily, before you realize it, you're gonna do a huge amount of work. And then that is much easier to build on.
Episode 88, the 2025 Mongol Derby with competitor Cortney Kangas. Guys, this episode meant so, so much to me. I was so happy that Cortney was willing to come on and share her journey. She works so hard. She motivates me. She works out harder and more often than I do, which is saying something.
And for me, it's always stepping back and remembering why you're doing it all and what you enjoy about the horses in the first place. Because sometimes we just get too caught up in the competition aspect of it. And for me, it's always the love of the horse. And Mongolia is the land of the horse, and the horse is sacred there. And it was really something special. The plyometrics was so huge because, like I mentioned, with the holes and the uneven terrain, you might be out there at high speed, and those horses, they're gonna just suddenly dodge a hole to the left or to the right, or just spook at something and jump one way or the other. And you just have to be stable and be able to keep your balance. And so it was really, really helpful to have trained that and to have trained that stability. I was talking to my husband, at the end of the race, because his question was, would you do it again? And, I was like, that's kind of two questions to me. Like, would I go back? Would I do it again? Like, absolutely, yes, I would. Like, I would do this. It was amazing. 100% that I would choose to do this.
In episode 89, we have a NSBA World Show recap with Carly Estreich-Lueck. Carly is an incredible competitor who has gone from the all-around events to the ranch events and is now dabbling with her ranch horse back in the all-around. We learn about a new event at the NSBA World Show called Ranch Horsemanship, and we're able to kind of dive into what this class is going to be all about.
I mean, it's kind of a mind game. When you hear horsemanship, obviously for us who have been showing in the all-around traditional horsemanship class, of course, you're going to think elbows tight, shoulders back, don't move your hand. Well, you're not going to get penalized for that in this class. So it definitely takes a little bit of the pressure off, but there's still going to be that competitive edge to it. Ranch horsemanship highlights the rider's skill in performing practical maneuvers essential to everyday ranch work. The ideal pattern showcases a seamless partnership between horse and rider, demonstrated through forward-moving gaits, smooth transitions, and efficient maneuvers. The rider's position should enhance the horse's ability to execute each task with ease, maintaining a consistent, effective connection throughout the performance.
Episode 90, Becoming a Supple Leopard Part 6. If you struggle with riding position, this episode you need to listen to. I know this series is a little nerdy, a little technical. Do not skip out on this episode. Torque is the force that is generated by your muscles. And I think that that's something that we don't really think a whole lot about when we first start exercising and when we're first creating a relationship with our body, right? Like we first just focus on, can we get our spine to be straight and stabilized? Can we get our muscles and joints to be where we want them to be? And then as you kind of figure those things out, if your muscles aren't creating enough torque, so not enough tension, not enough stability, that's when injuries happen. So I'm going to think about externally rotating my shoulders. I feel my elbows being right next to my sides, but they're soft. They're not harsh. And then here, I can feel that my hand is actually connected to my core. I can feel that if I go to move my hand, it doesn't feel loosey-goosey. It feels connected to the rest of my body. And I can picture that I'm connected to my horse's mouth with my hand. Like I can feel if they move their mouth a little bit. I can feel if they move their head left or right. And I can counteract that either with my hand or with the rest of my body really easily because I'm already engaged. I'm already right there. If I want to maintain connection through my leg to the horse, how do you think I'm going to do that? I'm going to generate torque through my hips. If you watch the Aaron Moseses, the Blake Weisses, Anthony Montes, the really, really good either pleasure or all-around trainers, those are really, really strong riders. And if you look at their legs are in an externally rotated position. They have fantastic torque through their hips while also maintaining stability, a good range of motion. That's why they're such great riders, is because they have such phenomenal hip control and hip strength and hip mobility. That's what you're trying to create.
Episode 91 is the breakdown of a research article called The Magic of Mindfulness in Sport. If you are ready to embrace mindfulness and level up your game in the show pen, check this one out. What we're talking about here is the ability to practice mindfulness, being completely present in the moment that you're experiencing. When you do this, you can show off your skills to the highest ability because you're living in the subconscious. You're not having to think about what you're doing. You're allowing flow to happen. And that is what captivates the audience and the judges alike to say, I want to watch that person. I chose this article because I think being mindful and being present and being able to ride every stride as it comes is one of the biggest hacks as a rider. And it's something that great riders do. And I don't want to say do naturally because it is something that is taught and is built and is developed. That is what a great rider does. They might get distracted, but they bring it back. They might see something, but they bring it back. They might get excited, but they bring it back. They might get nervous, but they bring it back.
Episode 92, Your Coach Can't Want It For You. That is so important. I, as your personal trainer, cannot want you to exercise more than you do. I cannot be there for you to make sure that you're fueling your body, to make sure that you're hydrating, to make sure that you're putting full effort into your exercise, to convince you to get off the couch and go and do your workout. You have to want it. And same for your horse trainer, same for your mindset coach, same for anybody who is coaching you through something. They cannot want the result more than you're willing to put in the work. And if you struggle with that, that is a mindset shift that you need to change. And you should listen to these snippets and maybe the episode. If you have a dream and a goal, but you don't have that great of a work ethic and you're not interested in changing your schedule or you're not interested in making sacrifices, like your coach can't change that for you. Your coach can do a lot of things. Coaches can help you along the way. They can give you great tools, but they can't want the dream more than you.
To achieve any goal, things are going to be hard.
You're going to have hard days. You're going to be sore. You're going to be tired. You're going to have other distractions that beg for your time. And if you don't want a goal so badly for yourself, those other things are going to pull you away.
When you say that you want to achieve your goal and your coach sets out a plan for you, you have to make sure that you're ready for that plan and that you're ready to commit and make sacrifices. Like that is a really, really important part of the coaching process is your coach is going to ask you to make sacrifices. And if you're not ready to make those sacrifices, then you're probably not ready to be coached.
Episode 93 is also coinciding with our subscriber-only episodes. This is a little taste of what you get when you subscribe, where you get a little bit of a behind the scenes. We talk about life's unpredictabilities and highlight the importance of patience, self-grace, and adapting to life's changes while pursuing our own goals.
We are going to be updating you about Lauren and I's goals for 2025. If we've been putting in the work, if we've not been putting in the work. And I think this episode is going to be a lot about how to have grace for yourself and how to expect yourself to show up, but also be okay if there's external things going on in your life that are preventing you from showing up 100%. That's why I always say that working out is more challenging mentally than it is physically, because then people go down the rabbit hole of, well, I'm putting in all this work and I'm not even seeing any results. Why am I doing this? And the truth is that working out is for your health. It's not just about creating a goal, achieving that goal, and moving on to that next goal. Yes, that is an important part of fitness, but at the end of the day, you work out to feel good and to have your body perform for you as you age.
And I think I took a lot of that mentality of like, I need to grind 24/7 for an extended period of time because I listened to the David Goggins. I listened to the Cameron Haynes. I listened to, the go hard or go home mentality, which I loved and thrived. And that is what helped me to win. But sustainability wise, I don't know that it is sustainable. And I think that is a big reason too why I've burned out.
Episode 94, trusting the process. Oh, this is such a tough concept, you guys. I feel like it's a little, I don't want to say over glorified, but it's kind of all over social media. And it can sometimes become, I think, because we see it so often, maybe we forget the importance of it. But trusting the process is such an important part of life, of your equestrian journey, of your goal setting process and goal achieving process. I can't highlight enough the importance of trusting the process. So listen to the snippets, maybe go back and listen to the episode as well.
But I trusted the process. I had a plan, and I knew that if I gave it the amount of time that it needed to take, it was going to be worth it. And the same can be said for when we are talking about trusting the process with our horses and with our trainers, or when we're doing it ourselves and we need to build that foundation. Each horse is going to take a different amount of time, and we can't expect it all to be cookie cutter. And we have to know that if we put the time in, especially at the beginning, it's going to pay dividends down the road once they become a finished animal and we are in that show pen. So taking the time to do it right and not do any shortcuts means we're not going to have to go back and try to work on it later. I think that's a beautiful word to use to describe trusting the process is being humble. Just being humble to the fact that we don't know it all. We can't control it all. And sometimes the best way to trust the process is to let things kind of come undone a little bit and then have it come back together even better.
Episode 95 is 5 tools from my show day tool chest. This is a great episode if you're looking for ways to prepare on the morning and day of your show to keep yourself mentally cool and physically ready.
When we are at show day, we need to look at food as fuel. What we are putting into our body is going to be the building blocks of what we can leave in the arena as an athlete.
We really need to start thinking of ourselves as athletes and treating our bodies as such. I just saw this statistic that said if you hang out with somebody who is more successful for you, your productivity increases by 15%. However, if you hang out with somebody who wants to bring you down, your performance can suffer by 35%. Isn't that insane? How surrounding yourself with excellence, it does increase your performance. But when you surround yourself with negativity, the amount that you drop is twice as much as you can rise.
Episode 96, elevate your mental and physical state by simply walking. So we hear it all the time, right? We should walk more. We need our 10,000 steps. We need to walk every day. Walk after dinner. Walk first thing in the morning. Walk during your lunch break, right? Again, kind of the same thing with trusting the process. We see it so often that we tend to get a little blind to it. But so this episode brings in a lot of science-based research as to why walking is so mentally and physically beneficial. So listen in.
One of the things that I love utilizing walking for is using it to boost creativity. Studies have shown that creativity is increased by an average of 60% compared to just sitting. By simply walking, you can lower your risk of cognitive decline and you can improve your chances of staying away from Alzheimer's, which I'm pretty sure all of us would love to avoid those things once we get into our later years. So that way we can keep showing horses, remembering our patterns, and challenging ourselves in different ways and not have to worry about our brain health.
People in the blue zones, they try to live sedentary as little as possible. It is so common in the US to just have a 9 to 5 where you're sitting at a desk all day long. And humans are not meant to sit all day long. We are meant for endurance. We are built to be able to cover long distances. We're meant to hunt. We're meant to gather. We're meant to build shelter. We're not meant to sit inside, surrounded by four walls, sitting in a chair all day long. Like, it's no wonder why so many people struggle with depression and anxiety and all these mental health and physical health issues.
Episode 97 is from another one of my favorite amateurs, Loralea Allen. Loralea comes in to share her journey towards the Quarter Horse Congress. She had big goals, and man, did she work hard to achieve them. Loralea was ready to elevate both her mental and physical game, and she did exactly that. She showed up, trusted the process, and proved what's possible when commitment meets intention. We can't wait for you to hear all about her journey and the mindset that helped her step into the arena with confidence.
And that's what I love about the work that the three of us did was it did allow me to be happy with the go and realize even in that moment how much we accomplished. Did I get my top 10? No, but what I came away with was so much more important than the top 10. I remember years prior when I was preparing for the Congress, I would go to the barn, 2 times a week versus 1 time a week. Obviously my trainer does a lot of the work for me, but I felt like it was so much more important to go more frequently to prepare for the Congress, where this year I was like, no, the majority of the work happens at home, and
100%.
I
Yeah.
did not feel that need. It was like, no, I have to work out and I have to focus on my mindset. And that's 95% of the battle right there.
Episode 98, 2025 Congress with Ellexxah Maxwell Furlong. This was such a fun episode, such a great guest to bring on. She's such a competitor. She's fearless, she's strong, she's inspiring. And if you think that because she's a trainer's kid that she had it easy and she was just given her titles, keep listening because that's not how it went.
I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to be the best because as a trainer's kid, you have a lot of people watching you.
you have the expectation to always be the best. And the one best thing about moving away from that and being able to show, unfortunately not as much as I used to, but as a more limited scale has kind of helped me realize just how much I love the sport. I love the people, the atmosphere. The Congress is amazing for not just the ability to show with the best, but you get to have that kind of family atmosphere the entire time. It was hard to, kind of reel yourself back and be like, no, you don't come here to win. You come here to win for yourself. Yeah, the trophy's great, but they collect dust, they get dirty. You don't have anywhere to put them. You're going to remember the moment more than you remember the prize. That's a big thing that a lot of DIYs don't take into account is it's actually a big advantage for you to have your horse at home. You know that horse inside and out. Whereas a
Yes.
lot of these big people, yeah, they, have really great trainers doing a lot of fantastic stuff for them, getting these horses broke, getting them put together. Again, kind of back to the Ferrari. Just because you have one doesn't mean you know how to drive it. Like, it is hard to
Exactly.
beat somebody that knows their horse 110%. Jealousy does not breed success. It's really easy to wish that you could do what other people do. I've done it before. I've never won the world show in my life. And there's constant times that I'm like, why is anything that I'm doing not enough? And that's not what it's about. It's not my time yet. I haven't put the right effort in. Maybe I've put enough effort in, but maybe it's not the right level. Maybe I need to stop pushing so hard. Maybe I need to just think about the ride a little more. There are constant goals that you can reach. It doesn't have to be winning a world title. It doesn't have to be going to the Congress. It can be, I want to get through this pattern today without a penalty. So you have to break it down to what level you're expecting yourself to be at.
Episode 99 is for our new series, Come Ride With Me. We are literally going to take you to the barn with us and walk you through how we've prepped our mind and bodies for a ride. On this episode, Ellie will take you through an actual ride at her barn and how she prepped, what she worked on, and how she gets the most out of her body.
Movement is really important when you're preparing to ride. So if you have a desk job and you're going from sitting all day to sitting in the car to then going to the barn and immediately hopping on your horse, your body is not going to react very well to that. Your muscles are not going to be engaged. Your body's going to be tight. Your joints are going to be not willing to move. Your mind is not going to be ready. Like, there needs to be a transition period between doing sedentary activities to doing higher intensity activities. And when I say engage, I mean that I can feel those muscles, but they're not inhibiting the range of motion that I have in my body. They're just on and stabilizing me as if I was working out, as if I was lifting weights. Like, I would want my muscles to be on and holding my joints in a stable position, but at the same time, I still want them to be moving. Episode 100, motivation. This was our 100th episode, you guys. Can you believe that? That's insane. Over 100 episodes we've done. I can't believe that. That number is just wild to me. So we wanted to make our 100th episode kind of special, kind of different. So Lauren and I each chose a couple of what we find really motivational quotes, and we shared them and then discussed them in depth. And so now that we're heading towards January, the beginning of the year, and if you need some help getting that boulder rolling down the hill, keep listening. The first quote that I have for you guys is from Abraham Lincoln, and it says, "Discipline is just choosing between what you want now and what you want most." There's always going to be a good reason as to why you should not work out, but you have to decide, is that reason good enough for not getting one step closer to my end goal?
The wildest part, I think, about competition is we have to walk this line of appreciating and being so thankful and excited and happy for what we won, but then almost immediately turning around and saying, okay, someone else is coming for me, so let's just keep going. But because rent is due every single day and you have to put in the effort, and you cannot say one success is going to get you through to the next one.
Episode 101 is the 6th round of book club for Ellie's book, Becoming a Supple Leopard. This one is a great episode that talks about midline stabilization, hip and shoulder torque, and living life pain-free. Who doesn't want that? Be sure to give this one a listen.
Dr. Kelly Starrett defines the one joint rule as the premise of the one joint rule is simple. When you are working from a braced, neutral position, flexion and extension should only occur in your hips and shoulders, not in your spine. Your hips and shoulders are designed to support and accommodate large loads and dynamic movements, and movement should always be initiated from those primary engines. We should be using our hips and our shoulders as much as possible. We want to have a full range of motion through the hips and the shoulders to avoid any spinal faults. So, meaning that we don't want our back flexing and extending as much as possible. We want a braced neutral spine to protect our back. Spinal extension would be arching my back, and then spinal flexion would be rounding my back. It's important to have that mobility in your daily life. That's something that you should aim for, because when you're riding, you are going through spinal flexion and extension. When you're walking, you're going through it. When you're jogging next to your horse for the showmanship, when you're throwing your saddle up onto your horse, like, it's something that your spine needs to be able to do. So you do need that mobility and that strength to be able to do it. But let's say that I was going to go pick up heavy water buckets up off the ground. If I let my spine flex or extend, that's putting my spine in an unbraced, unneutral position, which leads to injury. Episode 102, Equestrian Strength Assessments with Dr. Michelle Correia. So again, we had Michelle on the podcast back in 2024. Michelle is the owner of Stable Body Physical Therapy. She is a physical therapist for both horses and for humans. She is also my personal physical therapist. She works with a bunch of the riders in my barn, a bunch of the horses in my barn. So on the evening right before Michelle and I recorded that episode, we did strength assessments on everybody in my barn. And that was kind of an interesting process, especially when I compared the results of the clients that I have in the barn versus the people that don't work with me, and to see, like, okay, where were my athletes stronger and maybe where were they lacking a little bit. So we kind of talked about the results, talked about a bunch of things. That was such a fun episode. So again, if you're kind of a fitness body nerd, love that episode.
So what I'm doing is kind of getting an idea of my client base, where their strength is at throughout the season and what it looks like for different disciplines. And so the goal being that we can have better knowledge on what strength programming should be so we can apply it to riders so they're stronger. That's where this tool can be helpful, to just give us data, keep us accountable, but also gives us better specific metrics for people. And that's how we can inform our strength and conditioning. So for my riders with my rehab programming, like, that is super helpful to see, like, where we're at from a soft tissue standpoint, from a recovery standpoint, from a symmetry standpoint. But then I'm also using it to track my athletes from my strength and conditioning work to make sure that we are making the gains that we need to be making in the gym to help support the body in the saddle.
Episode 103 is one that you all have been highly requesting, and that is an interview with world champion Carly Parks. Carly talks us through her world-winning run this year in the Junior Trail, and then also just talks about what it takes to become a world champion, from breaking it down to creating a happy horse, and all the way to creating a good, fun environment at the barn. This episode is packed with so many great golden nuggets, and it's just a whole lot of fun. Give it a listen.
Just mixing it up a lot and trying not to get so set on, like, having to have one thing perfect before I'm done for the day. That's something that I've gotten a lot better at as I've gotten older, because I used to be a little, like, maybe get too crazy. Like, I have to do it 4 times perfect to feel like I really got it, and being able to get it and do a few things pretty well and better than the day before and get off and pet them and start again the next day. I think as far as me being more successful in the show pen, a lot of it is coming from trying to calm my nerves and not over practice. because I think that used to hurt me a lot, like just over practicing. A lot of people told me, like, well, you need to stop leaving your winning ride in the warm up pen, And I do think that was something I did a lot instead of trusting myself that I've done the hard work. I don't need to do it all again every time the night before I show. I think some people are just naturally competitive and you want to do well. And I think the combination of like loving what you do and loving horses and being competitive. Like if you have those two things and you're willing to work hard, you can do it. You can do this sport.
Episode 104, 2025 AQHA World Show with Heidi Marhofer. So this was our last guest of the year that we did. And this was such a cool conversation, you guys. So Heidi had been working towards a world title for a long time. She achieved that dream this year with her horse. And Heidi works out religiously, really, really focused on her mental game in 2025, really focused on her abilities as a horseman and growing herself. So if you're an equestrian athlete looking for some motivational growth from a fellow amateur, this is a great episode. This is the part where I think it can really be beneficial to have a workout that is specifically guided to your riding goals, because I've been in the gym since I've been 14 years old doing all kinds of different workouts, but none of it really translated to what I needed to accomplish in the saddle until I was able to work with a fitness trainer and physical therapist, just as somebody who had that knowledge of kind of what muscles you needed to access in order to make those changes that were so ingrained in my body. When you have that brain-body connection, your body kind of just does its job when it knows its job. And I think this is why like trainers can ride and ride and ride and ride and everything is so consistent, because it's just becomes ingrained in your nervous system and your body can take over and know what to do. So you've put the work in and you've trained your body and you've trained the right muscles. You don't really have to worry about having it in your consciousness. It kind of just becomes natural and background noise that you can put all those things into work. So then you can concentrate on actually showing your horse. I think one of the first questions you asked me was, what were the goals that I'd set out for myself this year? And the first one was learn how to ride my horse well, and then learn how to show well. So I had to have that physical base to be able to ride well to get to the next point. And circling back to, the Congress and the World Show, which were really good shows for me this year, I had the confidence in my body and my riding ability, and I knew that all of that was going to go the way that I wanted to, so that now I could be like, okay, what other things can I access so that I can show great? Okay, if you made it all the way here, that was a really long episode, but there were so many good pieces of advice, you guys. Like, I love doing this podcast so much, and I love chatting with all of our amazing guests and deep diving and getting nerdy about topics. Like, I just love it so much. And so if you listened all the way through and you enjoyed it, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for wanting to be the best athlete that you can for you and your horse. Thank you for wanting to achieve your goals. And things are going to change a little bit in 2026. Just giving you a little bit of a forewarning. And we're going to see where it goes. We're going to see what happens. If you have anything about this podcast that you really, really like, or that you think we can change to make better, please, 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 I would love your feedback. So you can message us on Instagram. You can send us an email. All of our information is in the show notes of this episode to contact us. So yeah, let us know what you think. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, all linked in the podcast notes. We'll see you next time. The information provided by Elevate Your Ride is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical or professional advice. While we discuss health and fitness topics related to equestrians, the content provided through this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. The views expressed by the host and guests on Elevate Your Ride are their own and should not be taken as professional guidance. We strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, but we cannot guarantee that the information will be applicable to every individual listener or that it reflects the most current research or guidelines. Before making any changes to your health and fitness routine, we strongly recommend consulting with a qualified professional who can provide personalized advice based on your individual needs and circumstances. Elevate Your Ride and its creators will not be liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, special, exemplary, or other damages arising from the use of information on this podcast. Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. We are committed to providing high-quality content and appreciate your trust in us as a source of information for your health and fitness journey.